mean, and I mean, oh yeah, yeah. Well, I just got a couple books from the library. I'm looking at. Oh, yes. And Midvale Heights. So people want to know. Dane was interested. And if it was topic, has somebody been there doing that? Yeah, from the library. Okay. You just say that we have list. Yeah. Okay. Or put them up. Put them on the card. Yeah. Or put them up. Or just give them back to me at the end and I'll put them upstairs. No. Not email this week.
Good morning. My name is Dane. I'm with the Care Creation Task Force, representing all the adults here today on the sustainability campus that is being tracted out. Construction. We also brought back some books from the library that are on the back table, environmentally themed, as you would have guessed. So feel free to take a look at those if you're interested. It's my honor to present our speaker this morning, Sujata, with the economies Renewables department. So she's the sustainability engagement coordinator there, and I've had the pleasure of looking up here on some different sustainability projects that jobs overlaps a little bit. So super excited to have her here. So without further ado.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam, for that introduction. Just wanted to do a sound check. Can everyone hear me in the room?
We're working on it.
A little, turn it up a little. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Figure out how to do that. Okay. All right. Hopefully that helped a little bit, and it's a little bit louder. So yeah, thank you, Sam, again for that introduction. It's an honor to be here. I really enjoy getting a chance to talk to Ash. A little funny to say that in the church, but I hope really demystify our business process the next 40 or so minutes and ask them to talk about what our plans are for the future, because as you'll soon found out in my presentation, we don't have too much longer left before our landfill is at maximum capacity. We're actively planning for that future in terms of what are we going to do with our community. Out of curiosity, driving by 1218, has everyone noticed that big green hell? Okay, excellent. I just like to orient people because when I say landfill, for a lot of people, it's like, oh, where is that? Well, right across right off 1218 as you're heading. I like starting off with this photo because it gives you a good visual as to where I'm talking about. Now, before I get into the renewables, my role, so as I mentioned, I am a coordinator. I had my job with you and really just proposal process. Sorry, what happened here? And what kind of solutions you want to create together when it comes to managing our materials. That's one hat I wear. I do tours of our landfill. So if you guys don't know, you can also come with us at the landfill and see the trash up close and get personal with it. I know some of the companies why would I come to do that? But I think it is a bucket. Really hits home the fact. Wow, you could 700 and there's nothing like seeing it up and we have that why that is that amount of cash we generate on the done here, and that's the way we like to see it in the cash. I also go out educational exhibits to bring their trash because we recognize not everyone can come out to a landfill to visit us. So this is had one of our mobile exhibits, the trash lab. Have you heard of our trash lab out of curiosity? Okay, nice. I hope you guys get a chance to check it out in person if you haven't already. It's a pretty fun way of, again, just understanding and exploring your own relationship with stuff and trash. When I'm not doing engagement work, the other hat that I wear is just about sustainability. One of the projects that I'm currently leading with my team is around the sustainability campus, which a good portion of my presentation will cover. And that's speaking to the future of how we plan to manage materials here at Dane. So that's a little bit about me. In terms of my background, people always tend to ask me, like, how did you end up working at the landfill? Usually, when I tell people I work at a landfill, I get a lot of raised eyebrows. So I just back up and share that I did my undergrad in civil environment. I knew I wanted to be challenges of the day. I was interested in trash and waste. Because I was that kid, I didn't know about you guys, but I loved digging through my trash can as a kid and putting out items into the trash. I house dolls, getting very creative with materials that I think that curiosity and value that I saw in materials sort of never left me as I got older. And I was curious, like, how can I help our community change our relationship? Is something that's more regenerative, more circular, where we're reusing, repairing items back into production systems and designing for reuse and repair and recycling as well. So that's kind of how I got into civil environmental engineering, and then I did my master's here in Madison, social innovation and engineering. You learn a lot about buildings to the status quo. So I did done. And then my master's allowed me to think in terms of systemic change and how to bring about more systemic like transformation with the way that we handle materials. So that's kind of the coupling that I have in terms of going that area.
Carry that in.
That's how did you end up picking up? That's that story. Now I'm going to get into the story of the stuff that we get rid of. So when we think about the stuff that we're getting rid of, the things that we're putting on the curb, people tend to think of it in waste. We got our trash can to the left. People want to point out what items they see or throw away on the street. Ooh, that's plastic. Yep. And then we got our recycling bin, and there's things like glass jars and plastic bottles, right? So those are the two different things that people tend to get rid of and put out on their curb or pick up. And then this next slide shows where those materials go after you put them away on them. And again, I like to start from here because I think it's really important to see the whole system of what happens to our materials. So we're over here at this district. I'm actually not sure if your district has pelletiering for their waste. I'm not sure if anyone knows that, but if Pelletieri is your company that picks up your trash and recycling, they're the largest waste hauling company in the Madison area, and they bring the recycling that they pick up to the recycling facility located on King Street. And then the trash that they collect comes all the way over to our landfill, which again is off of 18. So these are two separate waste streams, and we just handle the trash portion. And I like to make this distinction because sometimes when people come to our facilities, they ask about the recyclables, and they're like, where are the recyclables? So we like to let people know we just take the things that are being thrown in your trash, and the recyclables go to a different location. So this is kind of, again, this just puts on how far your materials are traveling to get processed. So as we mentioned, Pelletieri waste systems is likely the person that we spent in this church. I looked around to find your dumpsters before you do this. When you're in this industry, you're often so I'll have to double check, but for most people, it's Pelletieri waste systems that protect their recycling. Then it goes to their recycling facility where the recyclables are sorted and separated and processed. And then Pelletieri sells the different materials that they're sorting and separating and make revenue off of that. And those materials that they sell will get made into new products. Once really does do a really good job in terms of having people understand what plastic looks like. So if you ever run into learn more about how those recyclables are sorted and separated, you can visit their facility to take a look at that. And then the challenge comes to us. Us being the Dane County Department of Waste and Renewables, as you can see from our mission statement, our job is to essentially create sound, environmental, and sustainable solutions for managing our materials in a way that's not harming the health of our community environment. And we do that with not just current generations in mind, but future generations as well. And so we take all the trash and we put it in the landfill. But a lot of people are surprised to find out that we do a lot more than that. And we're pretty unique for a landfill in that way. Because not only do we have an active landfill that we're monitoring and actively putting trash into, but we run a couple of other different operations as well. We have 2 landfill gas facilities, which essentially means we're taking all the gases that are trash produces other stuff, cleaning it and using it as energy. We have a construction and demolition recycling facility, which means we can take construction material and recycle it other operations. And then we also have opportunities to recycle household hazardous waste in our products. So that sort of visually showcase all of that, I want to play a quick 2-minute video. And I'm going to just share and share with them to make sure that my video is there. So, go ahead and play that for me, and hopefully, think of it.
Have you ever wondered what happens to your trash each week here in Dane County? More than likely, have you ever wondered what happens to your trash each week here in Dane County? More than likely, it comes to the Dane County Landfill. Operated by staff from the county's Department of Waste and Renewables, at your landfill, we do a lot more than bury waste. We are implementing the latest technologies, protecting and restoring the environment, serving as a good neighbor, community partner,
and it's doing the update. That thing is going across the bottom, but slow. I turned it off. Other than
I'm not hearing anything.
no, not hearing anything. I couldn't understand anything anyway. We'll see.
You just the only suggestion I could have made was to tip it.
Have you ever wondered what happens to your trash each week here in Dane County? More than likely, it comes to the Dane County Landfill. Operated by staff from the county's Department of Waste and Renewables, at your landfill, we do a lot more than bury waste. We are implementing the latest technologies, protecting and restoring the environment, and serving as a good neighbor, community partner, and place for education. The landfill accepts over 750 tons of Dane County's trash each day. After your trash arrives at the site, it gets weighed at the scale house and driven to the active area of the landfill. Here, the materials are unloaded and compacted to maximize the life of the site. Landfills are highly engineered with a protective liner and cover to minimize impacts to the environment. We routinely monitor the landfill and surrounding air and water to protect the health of our community. We strive to minimize our impact to the landscape by restoring habitat. At our sites, we have planted over 100 acres of native prairie to create habitat for pollinators. The biogas produced by the landfill contains methane, the same gas that makes up the natural gas used to heat your home. This biogas is collected and processed into renewable natural gas at our state-of-the-art facility. From there, it feeds into an interstate pipeline and is used as renewable vehicle fuel, offsetting carbon emissions. An offloading station allows other biogas producers, like Wisconsin dairy farms, to access the pipeline and renewable energy markets as well. The Department of Waste and Renewables also operates Dane County's Clean Sweep. Here, we collect household hazardous waste to keep toxic chemicals and electronics out of our landfill and environment. At Clean Sweep's product exchange room, you can find usable materials, like paint, to take home with you at no charge. Each day, we divert an additional 350 tons of material for recycling or beneficial reuse. The primary materials accepted on site for recycling include construction and demolition debris, tires, and shingles. We see other opportunities for innovation and waste diversion as our existing landfill gets near capacity. Our vision for the future includes additional infrastructure for on-site reuse and recycling and alternative options for management of organics and food waste, such as digestion or composting. We want to provide opportunities and space for research and new waste management technologies to emerge. Surrounding green space will be utilized for recreation and environmental education. Together, we look forward to advancing towards a circular economy where waste and raw materials are minimized through reuse and recycling. After all, waste is just resources in the wrong places.
Was that the first time seeing your video? I assumed it was the first time. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I love sharing that video because I can tell you about the work that I do, but I think having videos is a really great way to show the breadth of services that we offer and the volume of materials that come our way through. Awesome for me as well. So I'm going to share this. That's so you can see this. So this next slide, next slide is just taking a couple of factoids that we heard from that video, right? We do so many things. I'm going to quite a big impact with that too. We have a lot of prairie that is planted, some of it being on the action associated with landfill. We see a lot of visitors through our outreach and education programs, over 10,000 a year. We process over 71,000 tons of construction and demolition recycling goes through, and those are materials that are not going to be going into the landfill. And then we also produce a lot of energy from the gas that we're generating and heating again. And to give you a sense of what that quantity of gas generation is, last year alone, we generated over 2.6 million gallons of gasoline gas just from our 1 year of collecting that gas. And so there's a lot of things that we are doing. And we want to continue doing those things and even more by taking it to the next level at the new setting that we develop. And that's what's going to take me to our next slide here, is looking ahead to the future. As the video alluded to, as I mentioned earlier during the presentation, we don't have too much time left before we're at maximum capacity of the landfill. So we're actually estimating that 2029 is when we will reach that maximum capacity. So that's not too far out. We've already been planning for what we are going to do in the future. Has anybody heard about some of those future plans? Okay, so the end. All right, but do you know what we're going to do? Yeah.
My understanding is that you will be lower part of what is now in Europe. Oh.
Yes, that is correct. All right. We've got a lot of great existing knowledge moving, so just going on with that. So it looks like several of you are familiar with our future and what that entails. So we have purchased about 230 acres of the Yahara Hills Golf Course, which is located right across the road from our current site. And our plans are to build a new landfill as well as a sustainability campus on these 230 acres. So I will go ahead and go to the next slide here. So what we plan to do is, so we don't want to just build a landfill at these new sites, and the sustainability campus I'm referring to is really seeking to move us away from this old way of and managing waste to this newer vision that we're already taking steps towards building in our current site. And as I mentioned, wanted to use the next level at sustainability. So the traditional ways of looking at waste is it's a liability, there's not a lot of business activities around it, and it's really a waste, right? There's not cultural or societal significance. But the vision for what we want to do at the sustainability campus is we really want to waste as a valuable resource and create innovative social hubs and business activities at the sustainability campus where we provide access to materials for entrepreneurs to take those materials that we're getting and do something with them, whether that's repurposing them, repairing them, or using them as an input to make a new product. And then we want to continue landfill gas energy generation projects and just have the space be really well planned, as we will have our operation of the sustainability campus and landfill coexisting next to the golf course, because the golf course will continue to be in operation as we are building this new site. So that is essentially what we are heading towards when I talk about the vision of the sustainability campus for the new site. And again, this term circular economy is what super important in this vision, and it's really driving the story here, because we want this campus and this new site as a whole to really be driving us towards the circular economy. How can we create more opportunities for reuse, for repair, for recycling, and make sure that these are being designed, or at least support design of products in a way so that they can be reused, repaired, and recycled. And so that's what some of these bullet points talk about, not just about recycling, but really looking at the full system and how can we build infrastructure and support programs to kind of change that narrative we have with materials, which is typically extractive, right? We take materials, use them, throw them away, so again, that works for the ocean. That's what this graphic is looking to show. And again, what works then to me as we design the sustainability campus. So this next slide, I just like to step back before getting into the weeds of the sustainability campus to give you a sense of the potential in terms of what we can do with the materials that we're receiving. So we did a waste study back in 2020 where an example of our material that we received at the landfill, and essentially got it. A very interesting and messy job. But we tried to consider what is our waste and what can we make sense. As we're building a sustainability campus, one of the things we want to think about is what materials can we pull out of needing to go into the landfill and have a higher beneficial use instead. That way we're saving landfill space as well, so that only things that we absolutely cannot reuse or recycle or repurpose in some way and have to landfill. And so this waste characterization study revealed that organic materials makes up about 34% of the materials that we're receiving in the landfill. And then that's broken down a little further here with the staffing on the right. So wasted food is about 35% of that. And we've got non-animal food about another 26% of that. And then things like decorating, recyclable waste is so we really see the biggest opportunity with organics. The rest of the composition are things like papers, about 20%, plastics 15%, and then we've got other things like plastic metal that we unfortunately still see in the landfill, even though we don't really want to see those things are typically already recyclable. So that's just again to give you a sense of what we're already receiving and what are the greatest potentials of getting it intact in terms of waste diversion. So we're gonna wait for the right. Yeah, explain the difference between okay. Question. So non-animal food things that so for example, like pumpkin skin, pumpkin stems, the part of the food that you wouldn't use in itself. And then wasted food would be things from your plates that you didn't finish eating. That's generally the way that they raise that in the waste. Yeah, good question. And feel free to ask questions throughout. We'll also have time at the end. So I'm going to try to make it 10 minutes so we're going to keep them for 2 minutes. So this is a visual schematic for what that sustainability campus might look like at the new site. So to orient you all, this is the Holiday Inn right here. The 230 acres that we got of the yard of golf course. And in this bottom corner is the eastern part of the golf course. And we envision the sustainability campus being this northern 30 to 40 acres of that piece of land that we use. And here we kind of visualize some of the activities that we potentially go at the sustainability campus. Some of the things that we are looking at include a compost facility. So that will be one of the first things that come online as a part of this program, is we want to have a composting program for Dane County. We can take food waste from residential communities, commercial entities, and send them to a compost facility for them to be turned into a healthy soil amendment. So that way you don't have to send them to our landfill where they take up a lot of valuable space. So we're super excited about that. I will be talking a little bit more about that piece in a few minutes, but just want to randomly go ahead and call that out because that's a project that we're super excited about. And again, one of the first aspects of the sustainability campus that we'll be able to see here in the next year or two. Other items that we're excited about are more recycling opportunities for materials that we currently don't have recycling opportunities for here in Madison. So that includes things like mattresses. They're such a nuisance for us at the landfill. As you all are aware from the video, basically we spend our days crushing the trash, trying to really push it down in there. But with mattresses, they're super springy, right? So they spring right back up. And sometimes their coils will shoot out and camera. And it's such a headache at 65. So we are super excited about getting mattresses potentially out of the landfill. We get about 20,000 a year. So it is significant amounts. And it's not just because they are large university towns. There's a lot of turnover. I think we've all seen our fair share of mattresses and they ended up at our sites. So a mattress recycling facility could make quite a difference in terms of our operational experience as well as the amount of space that it would take us to landfill. But one thing is they are kind of labor intensive to recycle. Even though they are relatively viable as a recyclable part. And I'll go into what that looks like in a little bit. Some other items I'm excited about is having an actual education center so people can come to our site and have workshops and offer programming events for people who want to learn a little bit more about trash and how to live a low waste lifestyle. We'd love to have these programs like repair fairs or repair cafes where we bring community members together who help each other fix different items, etc. So that's what some of the programming we can expect to potentially see at educational facilities on our new sites. And then we are also interested in potentially having opportunities for resale and reuse at our sites. Because a lot of times we'll get really nice things that comes to the landfill, and we don't really have a staging area for people to put their nicer items into that would then be taken to a habitat restore, for example, or used by someone else who might see it and just want to use it in their own life. We don't really have the capacity to do that on the clean site, but we really want to offer something like that on our new site. And even have a space for entrepreneurs to take out materials and use them and potentially like sell them at a storefront. And there is an example of that already happening in Sweden. They have a Fortuna recycling wall that they built right next to the transfer station. So that's where people are already bringing their trash materials that they don't want. They have a mall built right next to that where the entrepreneurs in the mall take materials from that transfer station and use it in the products that they're selling them. So that is the actual pictures in that. So again, I'll just dive a little bit into each one of those activities that we mentioned. Food waste I talked about already. It is a really big part of what we want to do. And we are already started working on this. We are actually currently in the contract writing phase, so we want to work with for building this facility and program. So in 1 or 2, we should have a press release going out, and I'll do that and let the fans are. But until then, it's probably turning out. But this is the works, which is really exciting. Not just recycling, I already mentioned a little bit about this. This visual over here just shows you the different components of the mattress that are recyclable. So you can get steel, foam, cotton, for mattresses, and they all have ends broken for reuse. So again, it's survival as a recyclable item. It's just very expensive. So we'll be doing a feasibility study and making sure we can economically justify and have but we're really going to try to push the work because we only have one in Wisconsin, not just and it's in the past. So it would be nice entrance. Actually, a picture of that recycling wall in Sweden. Encourage you guys to check it out. There's a pretty cool video online that walks you around the mall and shows you how the entrepreneurs take materials and then use them so that they can sell them out. And what's so when people try to drop off things like furniture, they can tell them, no, like right over there, just take it to the restore. And that can be helpful to have these operations located. Because what we find being a waste for material management, convenience is one of the biggest things that prevents people from making that big choice of trying to find somewhere to use a recycled material. So part of what we want to offer in the sustainability campus is how can we be a one-stop shop for people to sustainably and responsibly get rid of a lot of material. So those are some of the questions we're asking ourselves as we are working on this project. I mentioned education already. I just really like this picture because I think it'd be so cool to have a viewing window and you could like kind of look inside and see what's happening in terms of the landfill or any other information. But again, this slide is just to highlight that we really want to continue our strong educational programming that we've been built in the past few years. Continuing to do tours, continuing to take our trash out of the community, and then also have potential programming at our education center for exploring their relationship with places like live a little bit more sustainably and low waste. Great. And this slide talks about renewable energy. We're going to continue renewable energy applications at our new sites, whether that is taking that gas and heating it to make clean gas. We might also explore other options for how to be a renewable energy generator at this site. It could potentially be solar. We might do industrial heat capture for being very open-minded in terms of what does generating energy look like at this site beyond just cleaning gas. And then research and technology. I know the video that I showed mentioned it a little bit. The slide describes a little bit deeper into that. So a part of what we want the sustainability campus to be is a feedback for research, because a lot of times people make products and materials, but they don't really think about what's going to happen to it at the end of its life, right? We're in this plastic conundrum. So we want to be able to offer space on our campus for researchers to research and discover ways that materials can be reused or recycled at their end of life. We're particularly interested in some of those emerging waste streams. What are we going to do with solar vehicles at their end of life, right? We don't really want to be landfill like all of that. What about electric car vehicle batteries? What are ways we can help inform research and support research for finding ways to reuse, repair, or recycle those types of materials? And this is just an example here of something that we thought was in Australia, where they were finding novel ways to use glass to make tiny tables for their materials, right? So supporting more of these innovative, community creative research opportunities is something we're also keeping in mind. So here's another visual. This one a little bit more colorful to just show that all routines are here, and we want the campus to be a hub of a couple of different things, right? Of learning, thinking about use and recycling, thinking about food and food waste. And this graphic here just illustrates where you can stay in touch about the concept, because it is a very dynamic project. There's a lot going on, and there'll be a lot of opportunities for public engagement and input into this project, because this is our community's project, right? We're designing for the management of our community space for the next 75+ years, which is important. And so we want to make sure that we get input from the community as we design and move forward. QR code link for staying in touch with us. Email links there at the end. I like to show this slide just to give you a sense of where we are in this process and where we compare to some of the other things happening. So, recreation and other site activities at the Ohio Hills Golf Course, as I mentioned, will continue to happen. We're sort of phasing the closure of the different holes that is located on the first portion of the bridges, because we don't need to build a landfill all in its entirety right away. Landfills are typically built so nice. So the phasing of the golf course and the closure of the holes kind of depends on what portion that we're looking at. So that's what that kind of talks about there. Then we've got our sustainability campus planning timeline here. We are currently working with consultants on doing a waste diversion data collection and research. We're kind of analyzing all the different waste and material streams in Dane County and assessing which ones have the greatest potential for reuse and waste. So that's sort of the days that we're on right now. Once we finish kind of making those assessments, we'll be getting out an RFI or information for tenants. That essentially means, well, telling people, hey, we're interested in diverting this material. What business proposition or what company do you want to bring to our campus to do that? Is that a viable model for us to host? So that's sort of what this next step talks about. And all of this research and planning that we'll be doing will be put into the area plan at the very end for the community to be interested in engagement opportunities throughout this process. Then this last part here just talks about compost. As I mentioned, we'll be kind of announcing what the plans are for that in the contract. 30 days for so it's pretty exciting, and one of the first things again that you'll see coming from the market. This is just a little bit more detail on some of the sustainability campaigns aspects I mentioned. I don't think there's anything on here that I haven't covered already, so let's go to the next slide. It's quite busy, there's not a lot of things on it, but I like to show this to essentially share. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for engagement, and we're asking a lot of questions that we're going to put on people in the community in terms of, you know, what sort of materials should be focused on, what do people want to see at the sustainability campus, what are some items that they're having trouble finding outlets for in terms of recycling, that feel like there should be. These are the sorts of questions and more that will be wanting to assess community members. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause there. Are there any questions over the sustainability campaign and the things that I've shared about it? So I do have a couple more things I can talk about with the questions. Keeping in mind the technical. Now, so what is your new ideas? Will we be putting, will we have more than one trash bag? So we put different. That's a really great question. I'm really glad you asked that question. So in a nutshell, the question was, will we have to start to separate our materials into different bags if we're going to be having a campus that's targeting specific things for recycling and processing? And the answer is maybe somewhat just. And the reason being is, I mentioned food waste, right? One of the biggest materials we'll be tracking. We're building a compost facility for that. And we want to collect that before it's separated, which means it's already separated from the trash, and that we can just take it and manage it. So we want to work with our municipal partners like the city of Madison for having drop-off programs at their Sycamore or transfer station and other transfer stations. And then eventually the city of Madison has indicated that they'd like to offer curbside collection of food waste. So then that's moved to a system trash bin, your recycling bin, and then a bin for food waste. So for materials like food waste, yes, but as far as other materials go, one of the things that we're thinking about at the campus, I think they have a slide for this, is how can we target materials that are already used for separate? So here is an example of something you've seen. Again, this is an example of County, where they actually created a facility where they have dumpsters, all sorts of different items. They have, I think, one for mattresses, one for like these special appliances, tires, shingles, etc. And so people are responsible for coming and then just putting their thing in the right container for it to then be managed. And so that's something that we're thinking about at the sustainability campus, is what's the likelihood of that item already being something that's relatively easy enough for people to separate, that they could just come to our campus and put it in. So in that sense, you would kind of already be separating it from your trash, but you wouldn't be putting it in another bag. You could come to our campus and just put it in that. But you'd be collecting it separately. So that's another model that we're looking at, and I think it's going to be a combination of both, right? We'll want another bin for food waste so that it's easy for it to be collected through site, but then we'll also want people to be able to come to our campus and use like a bin for textiles, right? A bin for shoes, a bin for tires. But they would have to kind of do it at this place and out of their home. Great question. Doctor?
What kind of impact would private businesses like Purple Cow, Green Box have on this?
Great question. I know we got you asked. So we've actually been in conversation with private businesses like Purple Cow and Green Box and letting them know, like, hey, we want to build a facility and we'd like to make sure that we're building it in a way that's supporting the system that are already in place right now. And we see each sort of private business sort of has a different place in the system. So for example, we'll be a large processor of food waste, but we don't plan to go out and haul food waste or pick it up from people, which I know entities like Green Box do, right? So they sort of have that niche covered that they're doing. So we really see each using their strengths to help support the wider system of getting food waste out of people's homes and into their possible. And we're a big fan of supporting other organizations like Green Box and Purple Cow because we recognize that it's you have a more resilient system when food waste and materials can go to more than just one location. Right? You never put all your eggs in one basket. So similarly, we'd like to support and make sure that other private companies are also able to partake in helping us create a more circular economy. And we're also trying to support community composting projects as well, where we work with community gardens. We're building compost systems right on their site, so people in the neighborhood can bring food waste for it to be managed there. And that's actually, I had a couple of slides where people are interested on some of the things that we're working on funding through grant programs that we have. So one of our grant programs is the Organics Management Grant. And essentially, we set aside $10,000 every year to support community projects that are seeking to divert food waste from the landfill. So we will roll this out again, and we roll it out 2022, 2023, and 2024. And we encourage organizations, businesses, nonprofits, church groups to apply so that they can start collecting food scraps and figuring out a plan for how they would like to accomplish it. Great question.
Let me turn it in as well. So a story back when I feel so vindicated when I was in middle school in the 70s. Our social studies teacher encouraged us to it's not just a walk. And literally at the last minute I came on inventory recycling. And the trucks would have little barrels around them and pick up the recycling. You know, when I turned it in, I ended up getting the top 6 in the state. But the funny part is my social studies teacher, he thought each chance. So I feel vindicated.
on the West Coast where you separate out your recycling, somebody close to home. Yeah. Where we live on the West Coast where we separate out the recycling and then it's picked up whether it's paper, metal. And I was wondering if that's part of this discussion as well.
Great question. So the question actually was, would we ever move potentially from commingled recycling, so where everything goes in one recycling bin, paper, plastic, glass, etc., to a system where you have your recyclables depending on paper or glass, etc. And I would say that specifically is not really in this conversation. It could potentially go that way, especially when we do our stakeholder engagement meetings or people, members of the public would like us to explore and consider that type of campus. It's certainly something that could be on the table, but we really want to focus on the items that we're seeing in the trash, in the waste stream, because again, one of our main motivations is to want to create more opportunities for those materials that are currently going in the trash, trying to get them out and into higher beneficial use. And other recycling stream, we're not really focusing on those materials. But I do think there's a lot of advantage to the system that you described, where paper in one bin, plastic in another, because it tends to be clear. People tend to put the right thing in their recycling bin. When you have a recycling bin that takes all sorts of things in one bin, there's more likelihood that people will throw things in there that shouldn't. Yeah, great question.
I just wanted to follow up on that. Currently, I know there's a lot of stuff that people throw in recycling that doesn't belong there, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so this also gets to recycling. The big problem on the recycling side of that is, especially with plastic shopping bags, the plastic ones, they get all tangled up in the equipment at the recycling center, and it just comes up and works. But people try to educate, and it doesn't make it because, well, I'll just give an example. I was in a large apartment complex in Midvale, and the two giant bins in the parking lot, one for recycling. And people were consistently and every week putting the wrong things in the wrong bins. And it was such a sheer amazing. So, I mean, obviously that's happening on a larger scale with dumpsters. It's also happening on a private scale at people's homes. So I think the more convenient and easier it is for people to sort trash, the more successful it will be.
Absolutely. I agree. I think the biggest factor is food. And maybe we should consider having a plastic bag collection. They don't really give it to, because I know a lot of people have bags to it, and we typically recommend people taking subscriptions first. But I completely agree with you. The convenience factor and how can you make sure that the education and that is actually recruiting in your team, right? So we actually, part of what I'd like to do as we're planning the campus is work with behavioral scientists to plan and think about what behavior change campaigns might look for ensuring that people are supported in making that behavior change.
Question. Any discussion ever about having New York City?
Yeah,
I know that would be very hard to hear, but I wonder if that's ever been raised up.
yeah, no, exactly. So, we here in Wisconsin have a ban on gas, so we cannot have a plastic bag ban because there's a ban on. Yes, where Midvale State has executives, which is able to do that. But there's other ways we can be creative in disincentivizing use of plastic bags, so it's not the end all be all, but unfortunately, yeah, that's not on the table currently unless things change. One of specifically to how to ban our plastic bags.
How long will the new landfill site last?
Yeah, great question. So we're hoping it lasts anywhere from 50 to 75 plus years. I'm giving a pretty large range there because it's on a couple of factors, right? What is that waste generation per capita of our community? What is the population change and growth rate here in our community? I will say that our current site at the not at the heart of the Rodefeld landfill right across is about 105 acres, and we started filling that area of the trash back in 1985. So knowing that it's 105 acres and that it served us for about almost 50 years, 40 to 50 years, shows that, you know, a site that's much larger should be able to last a little bit longer if we're continuing to fill at the same rate. But it's likely that it might be a little bit more under population. But I would say in terms of estimation, we're shooting for hopefully 50 to 75 plus years. But again, if we're successful at the campus and able to deliver a lot of materials, we'll have more space. So it could potentially last us longer than that as well.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
A couple of small things. Historically, in the city of Madison, well into the late 70s, food was collected separately. And when I moved back to Madison, that no longer was happening. Then we had this period of time not too long ago where there was like an experiment with separate boxes. So from a historical standpoint, who has looked at each of those two projects and what was learned from them? Not for you to explain it now, but that's a question I have. The other one, you talked about behavioral change. That those of us who work a lot with people with disabilities and perhaps elderly and perhaps others, it's something other than behavior. It has to do with education and how complicated recycling is. It is incredible decision making. It's more than behavioral. And I, again, not for you to answer today, but I think that needs to be looked at in a way that I'm not so sure it has ever been looked at. So thank you very much.
For your comments, there's a lot in there. Let's see, I think to be brief and make time for other questions, I will say that I truly agree with you in that there's some of it, but also why is recycling so complex? And is there a way that we can simplify that? And there has been talk in the US about wouldn't it be amazing if there was a national standard on recycling? Because what makes things recyclable is different in each community. So are there ways to simplify it to that level? So that is a conversation that has been happening. You'll see, I don't know if it'll ever get to that point. It just depends on how much we're able to locally support processors or materials that we want to be recycled. Because someone has to collect it, process it, and so that someone else can buy it. There has to be a buyer for that. It's recyclable, right? Somebody wants it to make something else. As far as the pilot programs, Ministry of Food Waste, recycling in Madison, we have been in, having close conversations with our partners in the city of Madison to understand why food waste, recycling, or composting hasn't been successful. And it's been essentially some of those pilot programs or experiments just face a lot of contamination. The outreach and education piece kind of made it a little confusing for folks. I think when they said you can put anything organic in there, people were putting bed sheets and towels. So being really careful with that messaging is super important to ensure that there's little contamination. So I think starting off a program where education and outreach is really the main focus will be super important. And then also the other reason the pilot failed or weren't able to continue and scale up were because being sent to, ultimately to be processed. Didn't want the food waste anymore because one of the pilots it was too much contamination, and for another pilot they just didn't want food waste because they were a digester, and it was going to be more profitable to take a more uniform stream of material like manure and not food waste. So financially, the digester didn't want to for that pilot. So a couple of pieces for why it didn't continue on or scale up. Yeah, so we're keeping that in mind. Question?
I think, it's simple, and I apologize if you covered it, but how do you think cooking oil and
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something we're working kind of more and more with our partners at the Mass Metropolitan Sewage District because that's oil for greases. I know that's clogs, and they don't want to see that down the drain. And so working with them on an educational program, making sure that folks know how those should be managed. And we are looking at potential, we've had some conversation about could we have a separate collection for items like that to use for energy production, digester capacity. So that has been on our radar, and it might be something we consider for sustainable sustainability. So I'm glad you brought it up. We know it's an issue for our friends at MMSD, and we know that there could be a potential use for it specifically under sustainability. And if it's on other campus, we can support it elsewhere.
I wonder if you would just speak briefly to what happens to that landfill space when it's full.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that.
Do you
Yeah.
ever use it again? If so, how long does it take?
Sure, that's a good question. So for our space at the current site, we intend to turn it into a recreational area once it's done serving our needs at the waste management facility. That's part of the reason why we planted a party on top too, is so that it is a recreational area and can attract pollinators back into the habitat. We've been in conversation with cross-country skiing groups, disc golf groups about the potential of building whatever those activities need on top of the pool in the surrounding area. And just north of us, I go back to the river, you can see we've got all this wetland area right here. And so the idea is we could build boardwalks as well to integrate this area that we own into this hilly area. So that it can be nice for walking as well. We also talked to birding groups about the potential of making this area a little bit more vibrant and diverse and that attracts more animals. So yeah, it's a combination of doing more environmental restoration and creating this community friendly space. First, we'd like it to also be officially integrated into the Dane County park system. So that is the eventual goal that we're shooting for this area. And I will also note that we have gas wells, as Lydia mentioned, all throughout the landfill that are responsible for sucking up the gases and taking it to our renewable gas plants over here. So that gas extraction operation will continue to happen for many years after the landfill is closed because trash continues to break down and produce gases for quite some time, even once you stop placing trash in the landfill. But recreation and gas extraction can happen pretty harmoniously, so there's no issue with having those us out there to monitor the gas flows and check the flows and coexist. And we do have a closed landfill around it. Is anybody in that backpack over there? That's an old landfill. Yeah, that we monitor. It's producing gases. They're continuing to take those gases. We generate electricity for it, with it. And that electricity needs the badger for any healthcare centers needs. That's located right there. All their energy needs. And that landfill was closed back in the 90s. It's still producing that much energy. So there's a lot of energy generation still happening even once it's fixed. It'll peak and decline though after. Thank you.
All right, I think we're at the end of the questions and of time. I just wanted to wrap up real quick. I love your creation task force, and thank you so much for your presentation. It's exciting and interesting, and I think we're all I wanted to mention real quick on, we have our task force, that's something we have started talking about, is doing food scrap trial collection here in Midvale. So, we're kind of working out some details, but keep your eyes open for that. I think the first concept would be just to do it for the church itself, you know, really, during the week, and then possibly also on the weekends, and then maybe move on to special events. But there's a lot of little pieces, but we want to do it well, and I think this discussion is made me think about better ways to do it, you know, when we approach it. So, and the other thing I just want to put a pitch in for the Care for Creation Task Force itself, and welcome anybody to consider joining us. We're a group of about 5 or so, and we would love more people join us in this entire effort. So please reach out. Oh, the last part is we brought down some books from the library that have environmental aspect, and so there's just fill out a card and put it in the box if you're interested. But there's some great kids books and adult books. So, so thanks again, Sujata.
Thank you.
Yeah.